Hey everyone, it's Eric Jensen again. We've got lots to discuss, lots of stuff going on. We'll start with a slight recap. Both Alabama and Georgia comfortably blow out Michigan and Cincinnati in the semifinals. So that was I was surprised only in the Georgia one that it wasn't a little bit closer. Not that they won. I thought that both Georgia and Alabama were going to win. I was surprised that Michigan just couldn't do anything against Georgia. So that sets up the national title rematch of the SEC championship game between Alabama and Georgia. We'll probably get deeper into that one in a little bit. There were some other great bowl games. The Rose Bowl was great. It was, full disclosure, I dislike both of the teams that were in the Rose Bowl, but it was a very entertaining game. So good for Ohio State for winning, even though I don't like them at all. But they did play good, and that one wide receiver they got, boy, he was just flying everywhere. Utah had no answer. Let's see. Those were the big games. I'll touch into the Sugar Bowl, because that one had Matt Corral, who got injured, and Baylor ended up winning. And that brings us to what I'm going to mainly talk about in this video, which was Kirk Herbstreit and his comments and players opting in and out of bowl games. So we'll dive into that in just a minute or two. I did want to go on a couple other things because COVID still there. I am getting extremely frustrated on hockey wise with COVID, because we had, the Ducks, they had several games that were postponed right before the Christmas break. They were on a good roll, and now they're playing the games and they're down all of their good players. They're playing a game against Philly tonight, and they don't have Getzlaf, they don't have Zegras, they don't have almost anyone. It's ridiculous, and yet the game is still going on. It's somewhat unfair, I think. If you're gonna delay games for some teams and not for others, I just don't like it. Again, the solution is easy. Trevor Zegras, he's posting on Twitter, a little meme that let me in, and he's ready to play. It's just these stupid protocols won't let him yet, which is just a joke. So the solution, and I will keep on harping on this probably until COVID goes away, which will be never. So I will always harp on this until they follow my advice, is no more testing for anyone. It doesn't matter if you're sick or not. If you're really sick, then don't play. But other than that, just go out and do it. Anyways, I've ranted on that for like the past 5 or 6 videos straight. It seems like it was just frustrating to see the double standard. Some games get, postponed. Some games, you don't have half of your star players. No, that's tough luck. It's just not equal footing here. Just let everyone play. If people get sick, people get sick. People have always gotten sick. Anyways, let's go into Kirk Herbstreit. And I think it's Desmond Howard. They were talking on College Game Day about college players opting out of bowl games. So we had Kirk Herbstreit's like, I don't know what it is about these players. They must not care about football like we did back in the day if they're opting out of these games, because this meant everything to Herbstreit and Desmond Howard and those guys to actually play with your team. And so, and then he clarified his comments later that he was, over generalizing, and he didn't mean every single player, but was talking about certain players. And then lo and behold, we have some players in the Rose Bowl, for example, that had opted out and they missed that great game. But then in Sugar Bowl, we've got Matt Corral, and he gets injured badly. And so all of a sudden, all these Twitter people are going on and say, see, this is the reason why you don't do that. This is the reason why you can't, say anything about these players that opt out. And I'm going to toy the line here. I'll say I can see it going both ways. However, I do agree with Herbstreit that apparently these players are, I don't know if they don't care about football like the other players did, but they care about other things more than football. And that I don't think can be debated. You're caring more about getting that paycheck than being with your team and playing with your team if you're opting out of a bowl game. It could be for a legitimate and good reason. I did see someone, and I can't remember who it was, that said, it could be, that they put their team first or me first. And then someone jumped in and said, well, they could be putting their family first. And I can see that. There's a lot of football players that come from low-income families, and them getting into the NFL can help provide for not just themselves, but for all sorts of extended family. And if you're making that as your calculation, I think that's a good thing. I'm not going to begrudge anyone that does that. I will say I don't think it changes what Kirk Herbstreit was saying, though. And that back in the day, when he was playing and earlier, you wanted to play with your team. You wanted to play that game. You wanted to prove to whoever was watching again that you were good. Dan Patrick, I listened to him. He was on the radio. He was against Herbstreit's comments. And then he had Carson Palmer on, and he was asking what Carson Palmer thought about it. And Carson Palmer was like, if it was me, even today, I would want to play. I would want that opportunity to go out with my teammates again and play. And he's like, oh, but what about and he's like, no, I would want to go out and play. And I think today, and the kids growing up today have a different mentality than what people used to have. Players were a lot more team oriented. They were a lot more, focused on what the team was and being with your team. And I'm not saying that people that opt out aren't, but they're not focused on that like they used to be. And part of it is, national name and likeness. That's what I'm going for. You get paid, and that changes things. But, to me, if I am an NFL team and I am looking at someone, I'm going to say, did you want to play? Do you want to keep playing? Because when it comes to a contract year, are they going to play hard or after they get the money or before? If you're going in all out because you love the game all the time, I have more confidence that you're going to keep playing even after you get paid lots of money. And so I just think that's what I would be looking for if I was GM in the NFL and these players are there. I mean, and then you've got the, when do games become meaningless? They're like, oh, these bowl games are meaningless. They're just a glorified exhibition. Well, what about the teams that lose 3 games and are out of it? Are your games meaningless then? Are you going to quit on your season then? To me, the bowl game is part of the season. That's why I was so frustrated with USC opting out of the bowl game last year. It's part of playing it. You should be passionate about going out and playing football, playing your sport. And so I just, where is the line? I will give the one guy, the LSU wide receiver that's now on Cincinnati, and I don't remember his name. He sat out the entire season last season of college football. I think that's more understandable. If you're saying, I'm so good, I'm not going to do anything. Fine. Again, if I'm a GM, I don't like that, but but that's better than sitting out a bowl game, I think, because again, it's an arbitrary line in the season. USC could have said, we have plenty of guys that are going to be, going far in the NFL. Drake London, for example, he got injured badly in the Arizona game. Well, after half a season, he's already put numbers up that no one in the Pac-12 was catching. He has contested catches that no one in the country was putting up. He didn't have anything else to prove. USC wasn't going anywhere. They had no chance of doing anything. So why didn't he sit out? It could have been smart, I guess. No, you keep playing the games, and if something bad happens, they do have insurance policies, and medical technology these days is good enough that you can get healed up pretty quickly. So I am going to still say that I agree with a lot of what Herbstreit says, and the athletes of today are more concerned about themselves than they used to be back in previous days. I don't see how anything, and it's not just athletes. I think it's everyone in society almost. There's a much less sense of community and much more sense of individual for everything. And, I don't think that's healthy. I don't think that's good for society or football teams or anything, but I think that is where we are. Before we end, I do have one other thing I wanted to touch on. We've got the big transfer window, and what do you know, Caleb Williams, whatever the guy is, Oklahoma quarterback, freshman. He's put his name in the transfer portal, saying that he might come back to Oklahoma. Lots of people are saying, oh, he's going to go to USC. I have no idea where he wants to go. I don't know I don't know if I want him to come to USC either. I'm always going to want to win. So whatever gets us the most wins, I guess I'm good. But I really like Jackson Dart. I really want to see how he does. But it'll be interesting. And with this name and likeness, these players, especially someone that's like potential Heisman Trophy winner, has multiple years of eligibility, he's going to get paid more than players in the NFL, like rookies in the NFL. You can get more money playing college football with name and likeness than rookies in the NFL. And so, who knows where he's going to go? Who knows what he's worried about? If he wants to follow Lincoln Riley and come to USC, that would be interesting. And it would be interesting to see if Jackson Dart or Miller Moss would stick around, knowing that it's most likely that not going to be a big competition and that he would get the starting job. So interesting to see what's going on. USC's hit out. They've got several guys. They got some offensive linemen in the transfer portal. They've got just today a wide receiver from Washington transferred down. So they're building their roster. They still need to get some guys. I think some linebackers would be very helpful. So it's a crazy world in the transfer portal. Things are insane. And along with the transfer portal, there's again not much of team, and there's a whole lot of me going on, which is just a reflection of what's going on in society. I prefer the players that stick it out. I mean, Alabama's quarterback last year, what's his name? Oh, I'm so bad with names. Anyways, starting quarterback for the Patriots, whatever his name is that I can't remember off the top of my head, he did it right. He stuck behind several quarterbacks and just kept competing. And what happened? He won a national championship with his team and ended up getting to be a first-round draft pick. Try and stick it out. I mean, obviously, there's some situations where you should move away. But anyways, that's a lot of entitlement culture that we're talking about, and me, and transfer, and Kirk Herbstreit, and everything. So anyways, it should be some good football games coming up. We've also got the FCS between Montana State and North Dakota State on Saturday. Watch that. That should be fun. And then the big game, we'll preview those next time. All right. Have it so good. Bye.